everyday people giving everyday advice so that you to being a millionaire. This episode is going to be how to improve your financial health using credit. We've got some awesome guests on hand, so hopefully you can learn a little bit about your credit. One of the most least understood things. I mean, I don't even think their algorithms are publicly not known. So hopefully we can give you little tips there. Again, if you want to be a guest on our show, please sign up. We are always looking for new guests, and we know that you have something that you can share with us. It doesn't have to be financial. We do all aspects of health, physical, mental, spiritual, all sorts of things. Without further ado, let's go ahead and see what we got going on. My tip on credit is going to be using a site called kickoff.com. It is a way to build credit for free that doesn't pull your credit, and you can start from scratch and cost very little. It's basically a simple way to buy your credit rather than having to apply for a credit card or a new type of credit in order to build your credit. Check it out, kickoff.com. They're pretty cool. We'll post that link here in the chat in just a second. If you're looking for, anyone can do it. Even if you have great credit, another line of credit costs about $5 a month. Pretty simple. One more thing, we need more topics. What else do you guys want to learn about? We've only got the next 40 shows lined up. So financial health, how do you guys want to improve that? Shoot us a message in the comments, a link, let us know. And without further ado, we're going to bring out our first guest here. Our first guest is a divorce expert. So if you are thinking about going through a divorce, have been divorced, or are currently going through it, this one might pertain to you and how to not screw up your financial health. Hey, Vicki, how you doing today?
Hi, I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me today.
I have
an interesting, weird topic for building your finances, but I think I'm trying to keep them out of trouble.
Keeping your credit not screwed up is also very important. So quick question for you, Vicki, who are you?
Oh my gosh. Well, my name is Vicki Townsend, as on the screen. I am the founder and president of a company called Divorce Right, Inc. And what we do is we work with employers across the country and government agencies, supporting their employees going through a divorce so that they don't spend their life savings and their sanity on a process that can destroy even the strongest amongst us. And so that they can get back to work and to be able to take a breath and be more productive and focused and just happy.
That's good. Yeah, divorce is probably one of the most stressful things you'll ever do in your life if you unfortunately have to go through it. All right, I've got a quick question for you, Vicki. If I wanted to improve my financial health and was going through a divorce with credit, what would you recommend?
Well, the first thing I want people to understand is that divorce is the number one reason that single mothers fall into poverty. And divorce increases your risk of bankruptcy 22% for men and 18% for women. So how does that happen, right? It happens because people, we as a culture in this country have become, just completely numb to the idea of just saying, oh, well, she lost everything in the divorce, or he lost everything in the divorce, and that's okay, that's acceptable. No, it's not. The process of litigation in this country is staggering to not only the person going through it, but on our government agencies. There was a study by David Schramm from Utah State University that showed the state of Texas spends, and this is probably about 10 years old now, direct government social services as a direct result of divorce, $3.1 billion a year, billion with a B. Because divorce is punitive in nature, and we'll get into this cycle of punishing the other person by giving all of your money to attorneys, right? To punish the other person. And at the end of the day, it punishes you because you don't have anything left in your bank account. So my suggestion is to look into the other ways that there are to divorce that aren't so costly. There's a DIY option, which should be, with everybody that doesn't have a ton of assets or complicated divorces. that should be something, and we can, here at Divorce Right, we help you with all of that. But do it yourself. We can help you with paperwork and all of that stuff. Mediation, even if mediation doesn't work all the way through, it can help you get through the who gets the car, who gets the boat, who gets the motorcycle, who gets grandma's china. All of those decisions can be made. And then if you have to go to litigation over some financial matter or child custody or something, you can fight for that. But at least you don't spend your money at, the average divorce attorney in this country makes $400 an hour. So $800 an hour to fight over a car that you already know that's her car or that's his car. It doesn't change that. So let's get the things out on the table so you don't have to spend your life savings ending a relationship that isn't working.
That's great advice. I mean, you always, every time you hear a divorce, oh, who's your lawyer? What lawyer do you have? It's good to point out that there's other ways and take your emotion out of it as much as possible so that your credit and your financial health stay as intact as possible.
It's there to destroy. I mean, they know this is the only system and process that I can think of industry where there's not only a financial incentive there's no financial incentive to get it done, but there's actually a financial incentive to keep it going.
That is true. So get your divorces done, get them fast, don't ruin your credit, keep your financial. All right. Hey, Vicki, what happened on your life journey that led you to this advice? Where did you learn about it?
Well, I've been through this process more than once now. And I see that if your people that are listening can relate to how our healthcare system is broken, the family law court system is far worse. It is a $50 billion a year industry, billion with a B, and that statistic is probably about 8 years old, maybe 10 years old. So we have to adjust for inflation on that. But more money goes through the family law courts than all the other court systems combined. So, it is a system that eats its young. And I know that there has to be a better way. There are 5 different ways to divorce in this country. You know about one of them, litigation, lawyer up, right? That happens to be my last choice. I think it's a last resort. And I think that if we changed everybody's, that I'm so grateful to be able to be on your show to just share with them. There's DIYing it. There's mediation. There's arbitration. There's collaborative divorce. And then there's litigation. So, we want to help people make the right decisions for the right reasons. I believe, and I will die on this hill, that a family should not spend their entire life savings and their mental sanity ending a relationship that doesn't work. I didn't want to do it, and I don't want other people to do it. So that's my journey. That's my story.
Thank you so much. Before my brother and sister, who are divorce attorneys, kill me, we're going to move on to the next.
Sorry about that.
I will say that, even with mediation arbitration, you can still have a lawyer in your pocket that kind of knows
Absolutely.
The laws.
And you should have a lawyer look over your documents. Right. And I don't want to say that lawyers don't have a place in this. They do.
Perfect. Okay.
But I just don't believe that it needs to be,
if I'm going through a divorce, I definitely want a lawyer on my end just to
as you should. Yeah, just to look over your documents and make sure that you're not destroying yourself in the process. Absolutely.
Perfect. Good. I'm glad we did that before they all kill me.
Yeah, they're going to kill you.
All right, Vicki, we're on to our next one. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you in just a few minutes.
Okay.
All right, next up we have a man named Don who's going to tell us about some credit. Hey, Don, who are you?
Hey, good morning. Great to be with you. Hey, I'm the guy who in middle school, high school decided that he wanted to be an environmental engineer, and that's what I got my bachelor's in college. And and really, the key part of that is it's the lowest paid of all engineers. So I had to be careful how I approached life, in terms of buying things. Now, luckily, my dad taught me, like transportation. A car is to get you to here, from here to there, right? It doesn't have to be this huge style, $150,000 Porsche or whatever. In America, you drive at 55 to 75 and you buy a car that can go to 200 miles an hour. Why? Right? So, and I'm not trying to critique people, but that wasn't for me. And luckily I found a woman who we were in sync in terms of how our lifestyles would be. We loved to camp. We got a trailer. We loved to hike and bird watch. And so I've got 3 kids, all in their 30s, the millennials, and they're all doing great. They're off dad's payroll and they're accumulating wealth, and they're using credit wisely. And I think that's what we're going to talk about.
Very cool. Well, yeah, let's go right into it. If I wanted to improve my financial health by using credit, what simple piece of advice would you give me, Don?
For me, it's be careful with credit. Think twice before you buy it. I heard last week in a podcast, they said most people who have credit problems is because they either have too much house, too much car, or too much lifestyle. They're living way beyond their means, right? So think twice is, can I afford this? Can I pay it off? My dad and my wife's dad, my father-in-law, both instilled in us, when you buy something, make sure you can pay for it this month. It's nice to have the credit card so you don't have to have the cash in your pocket. You risk getting pickpocketed and lose your money. So use credit wisely, right? And I think that's where it really comes back to me, is if we're not using it wisely, we're going to, at some point, not be able to pay it off. I look around my neighborhood and I see, and I'm not trying to critique this, if they got the income to do it, hey, this is great. But it's taken me all my life to get to a house of $500,000 and 2 cars in the driveway, right? And have the right savings and stuff for retirement. And I see people who are in their young 30s who had that, and I was like, and then I heard from Dave Ramsey, 2 out of 3 people in your neighborhood are living paycheck to paycheck, and they're running the risk with credit and bad credit. And so that's just the piece of, make sure you're living within your means, you're using credit wisely, you think twice, and buy things that fit within that lifestyle. And if you need to increase your lifestyle, increase your income, right?
That's the best way. Lower expenses, increase income. Yeah, move somewhere that's less expensive. All right, Don, well, you got about a minute left. What on your life journey brought you to this point?
So when I bought my first house in 1986, it was $63,000, and I signed and I said $128,000 in interest. And that was money that was not going to be in my pocket working for me. So in 2009, when I bought my second house, it was $289,000, and it was going to be $500 and some thousand of interest. So what I did is I paid that sucker off in 6 years. And when I figured it all out, it was $56,000 I paid in interest, but it was about $210,000 that stayed in my pocket. And I said, that's the way to use credit wisely. I bought the house. I was able to pay it off, over time, but now that money is working for me. And after I paid it off, the market went up 25%, then 30%. Sure, it dropped in 22, but it's almost back. So that has given me a huge payoff for my retirement by using it wisely. So that was one that really influenced me.
That's a smart one. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Don. I'm going to move on to the next guest, and we'll talk to you in just a bit when you bring you back out. Hey, Angela, how you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Can you answer a question for me? Who are you?
Yes, my name is Angela Duncan. I am the founder of Empower Her Money podcast, and I am a survivor of childhood abuse and poverty. And so when I was 18 years old, I knew I needed to learn more about this money thing. And I have spent the last 25 years building, selling, and learning more about money so that I can give back and teach others.
That is awesome. What a good mission. A very important mission. I love it. All right. Empower Her. Go check that link. We just posted it. All right, Angela, if I wanted to improve my financial health with credit, what simple tip would you give me?
Okay, so I'm talking to the parents that are listening to this podcast, or future parents. Get your children started early with credit before they are 18. And so what I mean by that is, if you are responsible with your credit cards. So I'm talking to the parents that that have credit cards, you're diligent, either you're paying it off every month, you're making more than the minimum payment due, but you are diligently tackling that debt. Think about adding your child to that credit card. You can add a child under the age of 18 to credit cards. Bank of America, Chase, Capital One will allow you to have them as a authorized user with their own credit card. So it will start building their credit early. And then this gives you an opportunity to, say, for example, take your child to the store. They want to buy something with their own money. Show them how to use the credit card. And then when you get home, have them give you that cash. So you're teaching them not only how to use the credit card, but to pay it off right away, because we don't want this next generation to get into credit card debt. If you go to usdebtclock.org, this country is $1.3 trillion in credit card debt. So let's tackle that by teaching your kids very early how to use credit, how to use it wisely so that they can build a credit score to buy a car, buy a house, or anything else that they might need credit for in the future.
Very cool. That's a huge thing. Okay, I'll talk about that after. Okay, let's ask about your journey. So what happened? How did you learn this? You said you grew up in poverty and essentially said, screw this, I'm going to go learn how to get out and then teach everyone else how to get out of poverty.
Yes. So my story is when I was 18, I moved out of the house. I didn't have a car. I was taking the bus to school and I had 3 jobs just to pay rent. And so I went to go get a car, right? Go get a car loan. But I didn't know anything about it. So I saw this car, which I'm grateful I didn't end up going into debt for the car, but it was like a bright green Geo Traco. I was totally tricked out at the age of 18. I really wanted this car and they turned me down. I didn't have any credit and I was just starting on my journey. So had I learned about credit earlier on, then perhaps 1, I wouldn't have bought that car anyways, but 2, I could have gotten a car loan and been able to have a car to get me to and from work and to school. So that's why I definitely recommend having your children and teaching them about money very early.
Very cool. So adding them as an authorized user is your tip. Do you have anything about buying or paying authorized users outside of parents and children?
Outside, you mean like as employers?
Somewhat. I mean, there's marketplaces out there where you can buy onto really expensive cards.
Yes, you can. It's not, I mean, if you're not great with credit, don't go complicated. Just keep it super simple. What credit cards do you have in your wallet right now? What are you being diligent about with your credit cards and how can you teach your children? So think about what you know and how you can teach them and don't overcomplicate credit. Don't
overcomplicate credit. One of the most complicated things out there. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Angela. I think we're going to move on to our round robin section. We'll bring out Vicky and we'll bring out Don. Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey.
So we'll go ahead and start with Vicky. Vicky, do you really quickly want to refresh our memory on what your tip was?
Well, I wanted to let everybody know that there are more than one way to go through the divorce process in this country, and you don't have to spend your entire life savings ending a relationship that's not working.
That's awesome. I think that's great. I think that, what was that stat you gave us? Like 20% of people that go through divorce end up filing for bankruptcy?
No, your risk of bankruptcy,
okay.
Your risk of bankruptcy increases by 22% for men and 18% for women. So if we want to kind of make that an average, your risk goes up 20%. And
so
it's because this is a process that, like I said, it's young. It knows how much money you have before you start the process and going to use as much of it as possible.
And just in case anyone doesn't know, bankruptcy is really, really bad for your credit. Really, really bad.
Really bad.
Definitely. Yeah. Almost like what Don said, think twice, see if you can afford it and don't spend all those lawyers on litigation, but definitely have a lawyer on your side. Yeah. But think about the cost of that first. Don, do you have any tips on any reflection on Vicky's tip?
I think the big thing for me on Vicky's is kind of like getting into business. Before you get into business with a partner or a teammate, is really think through it. Make sure you agree. Make sure you're in sync. Make sure you really love each other, right? Too often we jump in and haven't really thought about it, like in a business, and it causes troubles later. And make sure you've done the same thing with marriage.
Yeah.
How long have you been married?
Partner wisely. Pardon?
How long have you been married?
41 years.
All right, so Don is an anomaly, and he's done very well. If you didn't do as much research as Don, then unfortunately you might be in Vicky's ballpark. But I mean, with the rate of divorce in this country and this world even is extremely high. So it's definitely an awesome tip, Vicky, because divorce could be the one thing in your life that could ruin you for the rest of your life if you don't do it.
It absolutely can. It absolutely can.
So financial credit, and I mean, divorce is a realistic thing, not in Don's case. Thank God. Good job, Don. We're very proud of you. 41 years is freaking amazing. Good job.
I won't say it's been easy. I won't say it's been easy. We've had our fights, we've had our times, but we've been committed to each other to work through it, not jumping out right away.
That's
And we
awesome.
did 27 years military, traveling 15 different locations and assignments around the world. And,
yeah, congratulations, because military
Thanks.
people, you do have an increased risk in the military. So
Yes.
bravo for you. Hats off to Don.
Hey, Vicky, I'm also a divorcee. And so one of the things, thankfully, I was in control of our books and our finances. So I knew exactly what our financial picture looked like. But one of the things that I did when I knew we were going to go down this process was go pull my credit report. So free annual credit reports that you can find through your credit cards or through the website. And I wanted to see what all the credit cards were that were in my name, because anything that I knew was not for me to keep in the businesses that I sold and he took over, I canceled those credit cards right away, because I knew at that point I had no control over what he was doing with the credit cards, and I didn't want him to affect my score with what he was doing. So I made sure to cancel those cards. But you don't know what's out there unless you go pull your credit report, don't you think?
Wow, good for you. That was smart thinking. Yeah, that was
Great
very
idea.
smart. Great.
Wow.
Great.
Maybe you should have a podcast about that.
Come and be on mine, Angela.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely.
Angela, so did your credit get affected, and did you go through litigation, or how did, tell us a little bit more about your divorce if you so incline?
You know, we were one of those people where we ran businesses incredibly well together, but we just weren't meant to be married. So thankfully, we did have attorneys, but we collaborated to decide what was going to go where. I mean, it was difficult at certain times because your emotions definitely come into play. But we were able to successfully split the assets, sell off which companies we needed and the properties we needed to do in order for it to be a fair split, because you know, I wasn't a stay-at-home mom, even though I do believe that they are entitled to certain things in a divorce. But I built the companies, and I was going to make sure that when I exited, I had my fair share as well.
Good for you.
Good for you.
Awesome. All right, Don, real quickly, do you want to refresh our memory what your simple tip was?
Yeah, it was really, excuse me, live within your means. You know, double check, make sure you think twice before you start using credit. We just because we have a credit card in the pocket doesn't mean that we just go out and start buying everything, because you're going to have to come back and pay that off sometime. And if you don't have enough income to pay it off, you're going to make more and more loans, and pretty soon you're going to be so far in debt you can't pay it off, and it becomes a spiral. So think twice before you use credit.
Angela, what do you think about that tip?
I love it. I am a Dave Ramsey certified coach. I have taught Financial Peace University for 90% of Americans. I love what he teaches. Although I have debt, I'm very good with my debt. I understand it and I use it to my advantage. Most people need to make sure just to get out of debt as quickly as possible. And like you said, do not live beyond your means, because later on in life, you're just going to be able to enjoy it so much better.
That's awesome. Hey, Vicky, what are your thoughts on Don's tip?
Well, I think that's a great tip. And in how that is impactful in divorce is, you know, don't let your emotions bring out your credit cards to spend more money on a divorce as revenge. As, you know, we can go into what divorce does to your health, because it damages your health by doing all of that. But bringing out your credit card to fight over, you know, spending $10,000 to fight over a $400 couch. And I've seen it. It's not, that's not a fake something that I made out of my, you know, out of my dreams. It is a real thing that it's just constantly that. Don't spend 10 grand fighting for a $400 couch to avenge, you know, the other person. You know, it's like, you know, it's crazy how people in this mindset will spend money that they don't have or shouldn't spend.
Yeah, you said it hurts their physical. It hurts their mental aspect, right? It becomes revenge.
Physical, cancers, heart problems, you know, mental, suicide, depression, anxiety, grief. I mean, it goes on and on. Divorce impacts everything, and it's the way we do it in this country. It's not divorce that hurts people. It's the way we divorce in this country that hurts people.
That's a good.
I love teaching out of a book, Crucial Conversations. In chapter 3, it says, start with heart, and think about what you want, what they want, you know, for the family, so that you're looking at it holistically and not just, I'm going to get even with them.
Yeah.
I think you're spot on.
Right. Thank you.
All right, Angela, refresh us what your tip was real quick.
Yes, for my financially savvy parents who have credit cards, add your children before they're 18 to help them build credit from a young age.
Very cool. Vicky, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I love that idea. I wish I had done that with my children. Wish I had met Angela before. Yeah, I think that sounds like an awesome idea to get them started on their journey earlier, for sure. For sure.
And Don, what are your thoughts?
I would say as long as we agree that when you add them, you do training with them, you talk to them about it, you help them understand what power this has. You watch them as they go through it and catch them doing wrong things, and you guide them and teach them, then I would agree, right? I had a son who went off to college, and next thing I knew, he went and bought a taco for $1.99 and paid a $25 fee because he didn't have money to pay for it. That taco was $27. And my wife caught it and she called him. And so it was making sure that they get the training on how to use it.
Yeah,
it's very smart. Yeah, and I think that schools are starting to teach more about credit, but I know when I went to school, it was nobody knew nothing and they don't teach you nothing. So kind of to piggyback on that a little bit for Angela, if you aren't a parent or you don't have kids, there are places and marketplaces where you can become an authorized user on other people's cards. They have background checks and all that kind of stuff. So if you are interested in authorized users, maybe shoot me a message because I know a bit about this. Shoot Angela a message as well. If you're interested in hopping on and being, we call it piggybacking or authorized use AUs. But it's definitely an option if you're looking to build your credit quickly. And it's probably not the best for long term, but if you're looking for a cheaper rate on these home mortgages real quick or something, you can hop on for the next couple months and move off. They aren't cheap, but they definitely are ways to buy credit. Similar to my tip, the Kickoff. I don't know if any of you guys heard of Kickoff, but you might want to check it out. It's a simple way. It costs about $5 a month, and they give you like a $2,500 credit line with virtually you don't use it. It's a unique way to do it. It's a pretty big company. It's been in USA Today and Forbes and stuff. So if you are interested in getting your credit built, go ahead and check that out. Have any of you heard of Kickoff?
Yeah.
New tip for y'all to look at, KIKOFF. You can go check it out. Maybe you want to talk about it on your podcast, whatever, or go investigate. It's super simple and a quick way for new users to build their credit. All right, guys, here comes my favorite part. It's our time to create our daily challenge. It must be less than 5 minutes per day, cost $0, and be open to anyone. Any ideas on how to improve financial health through credit that takes that little of time?
Yes. Well, depends on the call times, but my challenge to you is this: print out your credit card statement, look at what you are currently subscribed to, cancel one subscription every day for the next 7 days. Most likely you're not going to miss it, but it may take more than 5 minutes because call times when you're canceling things aren't always fun, but that's my challenge.
Oh, that's a good one.
You think that people have 7 subscriptions to cancel?
I believe so. Between Netflix, Hulu, gym memberships that you don't use, annual apps that you probably forgot about. Yes, 7 subscriptions, one a day for the next 7 days.
I bet it's much more than 7.
Yeah,
Wow.
I would bet so too. I would think
I'm very
so too.
interested.
Absolutely.
I know that there's also companies that do that. Off the top of my head, there's one called Bill Shark that checks all your subscriptions. And they also negotiate your like phone bills and stuff and cable bills. They're pretty cool. Vicky, you have any ideas for a daily challenge?
Gosh, I'm in divorce, so I'm not in the credit space. So I'm gonna bow to these 2 experts that are in the room.
Right.
I can help you through the divorce so that you guys make better decisions on this process. But I am not a financial expert, and I would bow to these 2.
All right, Don, do you have any ideas?
Yeah, like Angela, I have taught Financial Peace University with Ramsey Solutions for a number of semesters, and I really like that strategy. And I think the quick thing is every time you pick up to buy something and you're going to use credit, is make sure you think back to your budget. Assume you have one, but think back to your budget. Is can I pay for this? And even when you go, before I go out to eat, don't think about it when all of a sudden that $90 bill comes to pay the steak dinner, right? It's before I go out to eat, can I pay for this? What am I going to get? What's the bill going to be? Can I pay for it? Before I pick up groceries, right? Can I pay for it? So every time you buy something, ask yourself that question, is it in the budget? But that requires you to have a budget. And I know that's not the purpose of today, but it's really one of the first steps of sound financial management. To be a millionaire, and that's what we're talking about, you need to have a budget, and you need to buy within your means, live within your means. So use credit wisely.
I love it. So real quick, the app I was thinking of was called Truebill, and it did get bought out by Rocket Money.
Oh, yeah.
It
That's
goes
right.
through, and it of course Rocket got in there somehow. But they go through and they cancel on subscription. So maybe I think it's free. I don't know for sure about that.
It is free. I mean, they're using it to capture information. Hopefully you get a mortgage with them someday, but it is a free app that you can use to help cancel those subscriptions.
All right. So
can you put that in the chat so that I can click on that? That would be awesome.
Absolutely.
I want to see what subscriptions I've got.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna.
I go through my credit bills every month, even though they're mostly the same things. I keep looking at it. Am I using that right? Am I using that right?
And
I've
I
got a
use
couple
Spotify.
that
I use Spotify to listen to podcasts. Just keep the free version, just like YouTube. You don't have to pay for their premium. You just keep the free version.
Almost everything
most of us buy the paid versions and never use them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're gonna find out. We'll see if we have. I don't know if I have 7 to cancel. I think I've got. We'll see. We'll find out. I like this challenge though. Everyone okay with that challenge? Cancel the subscription every day, or at least go to the free version every day.
I think that's a great idea.
All right. This might be a real challenge. Let's go at it. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you had a fun time, and I hope all of our listeners got a few tips. We got unique, different perspectives. So if you guys have any questions, reach out to them. Vicky, I will find those links and put them in the comments as soon as we're done here. And I will bid you all thank you so much for joining today. It was a great episode.